was the game before we even start to play.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Who made these rules? We're so confused, easily led
Chorus,
astray.
2, 3,
Let me tell you
4.
that.
So I got my Rise 2 just a few weeks ago, and after a little bit of a learning curve, I'd say I now have a decent hang of playing it and working with the Equator 2 software. Now, it's obvious that this keyboard and software are great for the studio, and for things like deep synthesis and film scoring. But what I'm hoping to find out is it good for the stage as well? And it's actually a bit of a deeper question than you might think. So today I'm here at the Roots Picnic in Philly, where I'm playing today, and we're going to find out how giggable the Seaboard Rise 2 is.
What's up, Philly?
Let's get the easy stuff out of the way first. One upside to the Seaboard is that it is short, thin, and light, which makes it pretty portable. And this is important to me because I'm, traveling a lot and quite often limited to what gear I can get from a backline company. Last week we had a show in Mexico and I just put it in the overhead bin of the airplane and pretty easily got it, through security and onto the plane and all that. So that's a huge upside for me, is that it's portable. Downside, the keys on the Seaboard can be a little hard to see, especially in low light. And sometimes what we're working with on stage is low light. Now, to their credit, there's this little strip on the top of each key, so you can, in a kind of like tactile sense, tell where you are. And that's really important. I find myself on stage sometimes putting a little bit more effort into just making sure that I'm hitting the right key, just because when I look at it, it's a little bit hard to differentiate. Maybe on the Rise 3, they can make those little strips light up or something like that. Just an idea. Now for the less obvious stuff. The Seaboard is a MIDI controller. That means it doesn't contain any sounds of its own, and you need to hook it up to a computer in order to use it. Now, having my computer as part of my rig has clear upsides, since computers can do pretty much anything, but it has some pretty clear downsides too. It can be rough out here, taking expensive equipment out into, conditions that are not like your climate-controlled studio environment. I'm ultra sensitive to how I treat my computer, and to be quite honest, as I was even just like on stage sound checking, I didn't feel great just about the sun beating down on it, to the point that I actually took a fan and I pointed it at the computer just in case that offered any kind of protection. And I put a bunch of like shirts and towels and stuff over it, and then over the Seaboard too, because the Seaboard was actually getting hot to the touch. My computer was expensive and I rely on it for a lot of things in life. Risking losing or damaging it is something I try to avoid. In fact, last week's show in Mexico was supposed to be my first time playing the Seaboard live, but I ended up deciding not to use it because we were on a cruise ship and I didn't want to expose my computer to the heat and humidity. Although I couldn't pass up this opportunity. But I digress.
You could get the money, you could get the power, keep your eyes on. I said you could get the money, you could get the power, keep your eyes on.
2, 3, 4.
Now let's talk about sounds and patches. Like I said, the Seaboard doesn't contain any of them, but you can use it to play any sound from any VST plugin. But let's be real. People aren't getting Seaboards to play conventional piano and Rhodes patches. The Seaboard and its companion software Equator 2 lend itself to complex, expressive sounds. The whole thing is that if you play with slightly more pressure or move your finger slightly in some direction on the key, some parameter of the sound gets modulated in some subtle way. But if I'm being honest, I've had a lot of trouble getting these deeper synth approaches to translate, not in a live setting, but in a band setting, which is often a live setting. I could spend all this time getting all these subtle nuances into my patches, only for it all to be imperceptible when you add guitars and drums and such into the mix. So if it's really going to translate live, it's going to do so best in a band and genre that's pretty synth dominant, where all those complicated and deep and expressive sounds are going to be right out front. This is the post show. I think that went pretty well, if I do say so. And I had a good time playing this thing for sure. So, is the Seaboard good for live use? Well, my verdict is that it is for me. And it has a lot to do with the kind of band that I'm playing in, my approach to sounds and patches, and my commitment to kind of going the extra mile to have everything I need to pull it off properly.